This is the Longhouse. It's 180 feet long. Nyawa. This is Dianne Meilli for Eschia Books again on an amazingly beautiful day here in Southern Ontario. I'm with Gerdo. He's Mohawk, and we're in a traditional longhouse that took how long to build, Gerdo?
6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
All right, and it's a traditional Mohawk longhouse. And if you would just scan along the bottom there, Joel. Many families lived in here. I'll probably let Gerdo explain that the bottom kind of bunks, shelves were used to sleep on by families, and the top for what kind of storage?
Everything, all of their belongings and the food was stored up there. So for the long winters, they often had to store a lot of food, have it set aside in case of, emergencies and having to support other families and things like that. So they always had a lot of food stored for the winter.
Okay, so that'd be like corn and, well, the three sisters, would it be corn, squash, and
Beans, yep.
beans?
Yeah. Yeah, so if you read some of the older accounts from the 1600s, early 1700s, the braided corn, the corn braids, sort of like that one you see hanging there.
Oh,
That's a
okay.
really small example, but they're big, long braids, and they hung across the length of the longhouse like a tapestry.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and so all of the dried meat and the squash and the beans were all stored up there. The smoke kind of had a bit of a curing effect on it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they also stored a lot of roots. So, there's the three sisters we talk about, but in our ceremonies we actually mention there's like our traditional tobacco, and then there's these wild sort of potatoes that people used to harvest and actually cultivate. And so there's the three sisters and the tobacco, and which nourishes your spirit. So in the language we say Gyonheko. That's in the Kuyuga language. Just to add some diversity, Kuyuga language.
Okay.
So Gyonheko, that means it's sustaining our life. And so there's the corn, beans, squash, and these wild roots, right? And then there's the tobacco, traditional tobacco is included with that. And the reason is because it sustains our spirit. So when we're giving offerings, we use tobacco. When we're gathering medicine, all of that, it keeps our spirit strong. So it's included with those life sustainers. Gyonheko.
Gyonheko.
Gyonheko, yeah.
Ah, wow. Thank you for that. And this is especially it's special for me because my great-grandfather was Louis Calahoo, who came from Ganawagi. That's a different community of Mohawk, but Gerdo says that his father was from Ganawagi, so we might be related. Hey, cousin!
Yeah.
So we can't hug because of COVID, but what is this longhouse made out of? What I saw the bark outside. We'll take a shot from outside, but what kind of tree bark or?
Yeah, so traditionally it was mostly elm bark.
Mm.
The elm trees they're still around, but they don't get as big as they used to because of the Dutch elm disease that was brought over
Oh, right.
in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And so on this one we have cedar. All the beams are cedar. And the bark on the outside does have elm. It also has some oak and ash and a little bit of maple on there. So it's a mixture of barks, what was available. And so they still work, it still works. But traditionally it was mostly elm. And it was all sewn together. This has a little bit of modern screws holding things together and some bolts holding the beams together, but that's what this one in particular has. So, and the language Ganoses, that's a longhouse. And the Kuyuga language,
Kuyuga.
Or in Mohawk you would say Ganoses. So it's really almost the same word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this building we're standing in, we call it Ganosa Onwe. So Ganosa, it's the same root word, means house. The suffix Onwe means it's real. So we refer to ourselves as Okwe Onwe. So we're the people of the earth, the original people. So this is the original house, Ganosa Onwe. So because it's showing what our ancestors lived, how they lived.
Yeah. Which was totally in community. How many families would maybe live in a longhouse?
So in this
Like
one, for
big?
example, yeah, we have an 80-foot long house, and we have 3 fire pits here. And from what we understand, there were 2 families sharing a fire pit. So a family on one side and a family on the other side sharing a hearth in the center. And they were all related through the mothers.
Ah, yes.
So all the women were related to each other. So it would be a grandmother, her grandchildren, her granddaughters and great granddaughters, and all their sisters, all living together. And the men would come in and live with them. So they're always under the watchful eye of her family.
Yeah, of the matriarchs,
and
the matriarchal society.
Yeah, so the husbands have, they're being watched. They had to fulfill their duties and all of that.
Hear that, men? You're always being watched in a good way.
Yeah. Watch, supported. We'll say supported.
Yeah, supporting. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today in this longhouse. And I'll get you to say the name of it one more time.
Ganosa Onwe.
Ganosa Onwe.
Onwe, yeah.
House of the Earth, or how did you?
Original house.
Original house.
The real house.
The real house.
Yeah. So real people, Ugwe Onwe, real house, Ganosa Onwe.
Ah. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.